Okay, so I guess we will get started here. So I guess first off, Pascal, it's probably not an unexpected announcement today with the AHL canceling the remainder of the 2019-20 season in the Calder Cup playoffs. But what was it like to hear that that she would finally drop?
Well, what it does is it gives us at least something to move forward, knowing that the season is canceled. At least we know, and now we can move forward with different plans and planning for what's coming next. But being stuck in uncertainty and not knowing if we're going to play or not, we had to prepare multiple plans. Now we can scratch a few and move forward.
And for our CBC French participant here, would you be able to answer that in French as well, please?
Yeah. En fait, ce que ça fait, l'arrêt de la saison, c'est que ça nous donne une certaine, ça nous donne l'opportunité de savoir ce qu'on va faire dans les prochaines semaines. De ne pas savoir si la saison était terminée, ça nous mettait dans une situation où on devait planifier plusieurs scénarios. Maintenant, de savoir que la saison a été cancellée, on peut maintenant passer à un genre de plan différent qui fait en sorte qu'on va pouvoir avancer pour la préparation de la prochaine saison.
With the season being canceled, it's obviously a tough time for a lot of folks, whether they're hockey personnel or players or staff of teams or people surrounding the hockey clubs. Who are some of the people that you really feel for with this announcement coming down the tubes?
Well, so many people. It's hard not to think about the people working in the hospitals. It's not to think about the older people that are even more so the ones that are alone in their hospital beds that can't see their families. I have friends and families back home in Quebec, and some of the people I know very well, and even some family members, are working in some of the worst places in Quebec where there's a lot of cases. So obviously for those people, that's the main priority to me. But also on the hockey side, I guess, I mean, we're all on the same page here. We're all facing this pandemic all together and trying to think of different ways to be creative. But I have a special thought for those who were going to retire this year. The players that have been playing for years and years that were planning on finishing the season. And to finish that way, it's just it doesn't feel right. I have a thought for Mr. Andrews. That's his final season as the main person, main manager, president of the league in the American League. For him to finish that way, it doesn't seem right. So there's so many people, but at the end of the day, hockey is second right now, and my thoughts are going to all the people working in the front line and the patients, those who are going through a very difficult time.
You kind of touched on it a bit in your previous answer, but outside of hockey, how has this pandemic touched you personally?
Well, I've learned a while ago that, and we tell that to our players all the time. It's not about what's happening. It's more about how you deal with things. And to me, it's not easy for everyone. What I love to do the most is going to the rink and coaching hockey, but that's my professional side. That's the professional side of my career, of my life. The opportunity to be with my young daughter on a daily basis and use that time to create memories. That's something I'm trying, and I'm enjoying it, but I'm trying to make it fun and to create memories and a time in her life that we will remember, but as much as possible in a positive way. So it's, there's nothing we can do about this other than being responsible, staying home, keeping some distance, social distancing, and all those things that we hear and we must do as a society. But within within that, I'm trying to create good memories for my family and especially my daughter.
Usually when you have a season come to a close, you have that opportunity to say those final goodbyes. You have those chance to kind of really work through things with players and wave them farewell through the door. So how does this situation kind of change that up for you and your coaching staff, including how you would run exit interviews?
Well, we're going to have to use the technology. Obviously, we thought about that. We talked about it. We have meetings with the coaches, with the management. Those meetings are being led by Craig Heisinger and Brad Andrews. So we've been talking about this, and we're going to have to use the technology and get in touch with the players. Now, the mechanic of how we're going to do it is still something we need to figure out. We have a few ideas, and the Zoom meetings might be an option, but we want to get in touch with our players. Not being able to do it in person, face to face, is not great, but we have to deal with it and find a way to meet with those guys. And it's going to be through some kind of systems like this one, where we can chat with the players and at least have a conversation where we see each other.
So unfortunately, I mean, with the season being canceled the time it was, down to the last kind of 15 games or so, and of course leading towards the playoffs, it's an important time of year for all of the players to get that experience. So what effect do you feel it has on young players who aren't going to get to go through that experience of battling for a playoff spot and of course possibly playing in the playoffs as well?
Well, I guess there's no good sides, but the one thing that we're all equal is we're all facing the same thing. So to me, and I've been thinking about this, it's not so much what we're missing, but the way the players are going to be mature about and being responsible about their conditioning, living habits, being creative at still working out, finding ways to stay in good shape, and even finding ways to get better. There's different things you can do in your garage, in your backyard, in the street, and that are specific for hockey players. So to me, it's going to be not only so much about what we're missing, because everybody is going to be missing the same time, the younger players, the older players, but it's going to be really interesting to see who took advantage of this situation and get better, or find ways to get better when we're going to get our players back and when we're going to be able to return. I'm really excited about looking at or evaluating those guys and who was mature and responsible and creative, and who's going to show up in the best shape and maybe improved in some capacities. You can still stick handle the puck, in the street using a ball. You can work on your agility. You can work on your sprints, quickness and stuff like that. So when we're going to resume and we're going to get back on the ice, we're going to be able to see who was working at their craft and who didn't take advantage of this situation, because it's a unique one, obviously, but there's a way to improve and get better and be up ready when the season's going to get back.
Going more to recapping the season and on the ice, there's plenty of highlights throughout even a 60-game season. So what were some of the highlights for you, and who were some of the players that stood out for you this season?
Well, I think the Jensen Harkins story is quite amazing. We talked about it a few times, for him to keep improving to a point where he was one of the top scorer in the league. It really, his ability to adjust and to improve and then to stick to the plan and then to stay patient. And that's what he did. He stayed positive, he stayed patient, and he followed the process, and he got better. And the confidence that he built in himself in himself by doing the right things over and over and keep working on his craft. To me, it's quite the story. It's a story that doesn't happen very often. We were lucky to see it unfold in front of us to a point where he got called up by the Jets. But our goal, and it's always our goal, is when we have a player being called up, we don't want to have those ups and downs movements. We want to have our players being called up and stay there. And that's what Jensen did. He took advantage of the opportunity, and the results are great. But the work behind what we see today, the work behind or in the gym and on the ice in practices, the things that people don't see. They just see the games. His ability to understand the systems and to work at it. And it took a little bit more time, but for him, and I've always thought that you need to be over ready when you get the call. And he was over ready. He was more than ready to play at that level and to impress the coaching staff of the Jets and the management of the Jets in order to stay there. And it's more to that. It's also going there and the players as well, to see this young guy that they've known since he got drafted and going to camps year after year, and for them to see the improvement and his attitude and his ability to help them win hockey games. And there's a lot of things that went on behind the scenes. And for Jensen Harkins to go from being a drafted player to a guy that had a hard time logging heavy minutes in the American League, but sticking to the plan and working hard and staying positive, low maintenance, just keep working at his craft and getting stronger, faster, understanding, spending a lot of times watching video. To me, Jensen Harkins is a great story. And we even sent him down to the East Coast to because we couldn't play him as much as we wanted to. So he went down there and he bought into that plan with a great attitude. Went there, touched the puck a lot, played the heavy minutes, was a great contributor with those guys, came back up and just took off from there, finished really hard last year, had a great second half of the season, went home with good confidence, worked hard, came back, great start of the season, got called up and to a point where he never got sent down. So Jensen Harkins is a great story.
Keeping it on the player focus here, I mean, it was a tough year last year for CJ Cease after missing most of the season. This year came back and scored a bunch of goals for your club, as well made his NHL debut. What kind of growth did you see in his game this season?
Well, for him to come back at training camp and be at the same level that he was when he got injured is quite the thing. He had to spend a lot of time in the gym and be quite serious about his training and his lifestyle. And not that we had any doubts, but you never know how a player is going to recover from that kind of injury. He missed almost a full year and he came back exactly to the same level as he was, even probably better, more mature. As a player, he's a mature person, but as a player, and for him, we know he's a hardworking guy. We know I like to compare. I don't like to compare players, but I like to compare what he brings to a hockey team to Brian Little with the Jets, in a sense that the consistency of his work is always there. You always know what CJC is going to bring to the game. You always know that he's going to be prepared. You always know that he's going to give his best. And some games are not going well for him, but we know the effort, the intensity, and his mindset's going to be right. So for him to work things out the way he did and to come back and gain that confidence, it's all about confidence. And for him to come back and be as himself as usual, working hard, be reliable defensively, but also to contribute offensively, I think it built even more so confidence. And again, another guy like Jensen Harkins, to a point where he got called up by the Jets and he did well. he had a real good camp. He was ready for this year, and that's the type of leadership and the type of people we really enjoy working with.
Another centerman on your club, you didn't have a ton of time to work with him. You only played 13 games with the team, a little longer than that after coming back from the World Junior Championship. But what did you see from David Gustafson in the limited time that you did get to see him?
Very smart guy. Mature physically. He's a very strong young man. Really good on face-offs. He's a student of the game. There's a reason why he's stuck with the Jets for such a long time. As a coach, you trust those players. You know they're going to go out there and they're going to be reliable. You have the confidence to put them on the ice when the game is on the line. You need to win that face-off in the defensive zone to get the puck out, or you need to win the face-off in the offensive zone to create a scoring chance. So to me, his experience with the Jets and being around the Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele, and those guys gave him a little bit of what it takes to play at that level on this daily basis, on a weekly basis. And he took that, and I'm sure he observed those guys, and he looked at them, and he watched them, how they practice, how they play. And with the maturity level that he has and the experience already that he has as a hockey player, he took that and he brought that with the Moose. And at first, with us, the first few games coming back after an injury, he was responsible, and we had the trust in him for sure. But as the season went on, he started to create more offensively, holding on to the puck a little bit longer, creating offense instead of making the safe play all the time. And with the puck, he was creating and strong on the puck to make plays in the offensive zone, or just to carry the puck inside. He's a very strong guy one-on-one. So all his one-on-one battles, he's hard to get the puck off. So he was protecting the puck even more, but holding on to the puck and creating ozone time, driving the net. There's so many good things in his case. But at the end of the day, to me, it's his mindset. He's a very mature person. He knows who he is. He knows what he needs to do to have success, and that's what he brings. And for him to understand that part of the game, and it's the game within the game, it's a real advantage that he has, because it's, for some players, it takes years to understand who they are, and some of them never truly understand. And that's why for some of them, they never have the career they should be having. But for David, I think he has a real good understanding of what he needs to do, and to be proud of it, and to be the guy that wants to be on the ice when we have to kill a penalty, and taking a lot of pride in doing this and being the best at it. I think this guy is going to be a real good hockey player for a very long time.
For you, Pascal, you're in your fourth season as the head coach of the Moose, looking all the way back to 2016-17 to now. Where have you seen the most personal growth for yourself as a coach?
Well, so many ways. I mean, there's always room to improve, and that's what I love the most about the game, because the game is always evolving, and to evolve with the game, and trying to think forward, and then what the game's going to look like in a year and 2 years and 3 years, even more so now with what's going on. It's something that I really enjoyed in the American League. But to say it at the NHL level, being an assistant coach with Paul and Claude previously, but to experience it at the American League level, it's something that I really enjoyed. But it was a real challenge. It is a real challenge in a sense that the player turnover is so important, as you know. Finding ways to teach and simplifying what you're trying to teach. And that's something we're always trying to do. And the reason for it is we want to be faster as a team. We want to be quicker. We want to have a team chemistry, collective chemistry on the ice. And in order to accomplish that in the American League level, we need to be really creative in how we teach the game, the systems, because we want to play and we play the same way the Jets do, the same systems, the same language, the same kind of practices. But our group of players is always different. So we that's something I really enjoy. We're consistently being challenged in how we teach, how we communicate with the players. To see the growth of certain players is always very rewarding. But the types of players that you have in the American League, you have young guys that are coming from the junior leagues or college or Europe. So they have different kind of mindset. They don't really know much about this league and what it really takes to play at the NHL level. So to create those relationships with those players, it's different than anything I've seen before. I've had a lot of experience in junior hockey, and then 5 years in the NHL. But the American League level is a different animal in so many ways. So it's a real good challenge. And to me as a coach, it's been the toughest league I've been coaching or been part of because of the player turnover and the schedule. It's everything is different. At the end of the day, it's the same game, but how we do things, it really forces coaches to be creative and find new ways of keeping the group, the right mindset of the group, and finding ways to teach and accomplish the same things that we want to accomplish with the Jets.
Well, speaking of some of the challenges that you face right now, certainly one of those would be the uncertainty of when the puck might drop next season. And so maybe just a thought on some of the challenges that brings for you and your coaching staff when you look to prepare for next season. And then maybe a comment as well on the possibility of playing in front of empty buildings to start.
Well, we don't know when we're going to play. Nobody knows. So we're planning as if we were returning in September. That's what we're going to do now, knowing that the season is over. And that's the only way. And if we don't start in September, then we're just going to adjust eventually when we know more. But right now, it's navigating when you don't know the end result. That's the challenge. Staying motivated and again, just like what I talked about, the ability to have some success in the American League is most of it is how creative you are and how much you study the game and how much you get to know your players. Right now, it's just we don't know anything about what's going to happen next as far as when we're going to play. So we have to plan for something, and that something is for us, or for me, I should say, it's thinking about September. And not playing in front of people, obviously it's going to be different. We love when there's people in the building. It creates a different atmosphere. But at the end of the day, we'll have to adjust, and then that's the main word here. I think we'll need to adjust, and if there's nobody in the building, but we still can play, I think that's not the best case scenario, but that's might be the only scenario. And if that's the case, we might as well, and we will make the best out of it.
Just to wrap things up, we did have one question come through, well, a couple of questions, but I can take care of those offline. But one of the questions, if you're comfortable expanding on, you mentioned some family and friends affected to back home. There was a question about that.
Yeah, well, I know quite a few people in Quebec, and my sister-in-law, she works in one of an old care facility, a facility where they've been the coronavirus has been pretty intense there. So I'm in touch with those people, and it's just trying to support the best we can from a distance over the phone and talking to my brother and stuff. It's just a difficult time, and then they're being touched and they're trying to do their best. But just like us, it's something that we face for the first time, and the courage that I see in those people that I know that are right there in the middle of it, it's very inspiring.